Hello, everybody. My name is Chandelight, and today I want to read you my original story, Dimension Hopper: The Killing Dilemma. Prologue Genesis. This is an alternate history. To understand our struggle with the children of the planet, we need to start from the beginning. No humans, no archaics, no supercomputer of AI worlds, no animals, no plants, just space and peace of mind. Planets were just un- planets were just unfilled snow globes until the unused matter created multiple star systems, which led to the sentience of those snow globes, filling them with landscapes and terrain for different biological systems. But there was one detail that persisted in most systems. The ones They're the only sentient being were the planets and their weather, which is were called archaics. It was even a little rare to have an archaic on a planet, but the odds are very low for you to have an ecosystem as well. But one solar system was a statistical anomaly, and that system was the one you are currently reading this study on. Almost every planet had an archaic, and at the beginning of its time, two planets had two archaics, one of them being Martian, whose nickname was Mars. He had a son and a daughter, but in an unknown event, Martian's son was the only one still alive, while his daughter is dead. Mercy, also known as Mercury, is a punching bag for the baron that controls this line of planets in the Milky Way called the Sun. Earthera, also known by you reading this book, Earth, our very surface. For the longest time she had one son, and his name was Gade. The one behind reduction of the ocean to make room for planets. Okay, let me start that over. The one behind reduction of the ocean to make room for plants and omnivores like diplodocus and triceratops. But then we have the most vicious animals when her second son, Ravage, has come along. In his introduction, there was harsh weather in spots he disliked, and perfect weather in spots he liked. Tyrannosaurus, velociraptors, and dilophosaurs. The one that has a neck spouts in Jurassic Park. You know the one I'm talking about. uh, but one day, a random asteroid that definitely wasn't hurled by Ravage towards got thrown towards Earthera, hurting her and killing all dinos. But as the healing process happened, in 100 years, a new species that was made out of good nature of Gade and immortality of Ravage. Humans came along. The only species that come close to... Okay, sorry for the stutter. Let me start over. The only species to come close as a potential equal in intuition to the planets and archaics. Our complete Our creation was a complete accident to Ethera. One of her best accidents, and also one of her worsts. To talk about the next events, we need to talk about Jupiterus, the biggest edgelord when it comes to planets in the Milky Way. He always wanted to be alone, so out of that desire, his son Elopsi, actually pretty wise, wanted to bring his knowledge to a species that would understand how to use it. With the knowledge out of the way, Elopsi was ecstatic when he discovered humans. He instantly went to Earth and taught these humans. Arthera was completely fine with this. Gade was. I'll start that over. Gade was glad to have another force besides himself and Ravage. And Ravage preferred to be 10 solar systems away from Elopsi. Elopsi had taught the humans how to fight with lightning, how to use lightning and darkness effectively, how to make weapons, how to speak. But most important thing out of all of these, Elopsi taught the humans, was that they know nothing. The prime state of the human mind, they think they are the kings of the world, but they are just ants that will be stomped by the boot of space. Eventually, all cultivated in advancements for humanity, which made Gade really happy, but Ravage hated it. So he did two things that would get Arthera more involved. When humans were about to reach the heights they had never seen before, space, it thought it was thought only archaics could go into space, but it was proven possible. But we have someone to talk about before we talk about the demise of this ruined human. Okay, let me rephrase that. But we have someone else to talk about before we talk about the demise of this run of humans, as known to be the ancient society. We have a young boy in the Sinache family whose name is Rick. Not to confuse the Rick and Morty fans reading this book. Rick's father was an eccentric about the archaics. Some would call him mad. Or a fanatic. Rick was a good kid. He always played by the rules. He turned in everything on time at school. He was a major participant in school activities. Again, he is a good kid. But then the demise of our predecessors happened. He was in 7th grade homeroom watching the astronauts launch into space. He could see some shadowy figures sprouting from the ground of the space station while watching on the TV. Then suddenly, kablam! A car came through Rick's classroom. He saw his friends he had made and his homeroom teacher dead. So many people, just not even people anymore, bags of flaming flesh. One pile of burning flesh he saw, his dad shooting survivors. He went to his dad, trudging through the debris and bodies, burning himself multiple times. His dad had a vision from Ravage to cause a mass shooting. Rick asked his dad to stop this madness. His dad hadn't listened. He only aimed the gun at his son. He was a madman, but Rick had prayed for Athera to save him. He found himself not at the end of a gun barrel, but in a white void. Rick heard a welcoming but defeated voice. "Hello, my child. I saw what your father figure did." The young Rick was in terror and shock. He had witnessed the mental derangement and insanity no kid should see in their father. No one as young of you should have to go through that. My son has killed every human besides you. He has also destroyed some of the light in my other son. He won't answer. My light son won't. Okay, let me rephrase it. My light son won't answer me every time I beckon him. Not kid, what to do, not knowing what to. Let me rephrase it. Not knowing what to do, never interacting with one of her humans, she summoned a bed of cotton and pillows made out of wool with cotton stuffing. She tells Rick to rest. She tells Rick to rest. Oh, there's a grammatical error there. She tells Rick, rest. You need sleep after what you've been. He drops on the cotton. For a tiny bit, he looks like a dead body on that cotton. But after 1 minute, he wakes up, not saying a thing, but crying. He has no words. Everyone he knew was dead. Arthera tries comforting the child, but has no words. She let her son kill a species. She had done what no planet has ever done, and sworn what she's sworn to never do. She had banished revenge from any claim of power towards any civilization that came from Earth. She she also adopted Rick. Sorry for that mispronunciation. It's Rick. Also, uh, okay. New new paragraph. Somewhere the humans hadn't touched, or ravaged, hasn't ravaged, lies a powerless Gade, who is Arthera's other son. He had set up a ritual that would kill him. Gade was, Gade was Arthera's archaic of light, but what would... Oh, let me rephrase it. Gade was Arthera's archaic of light, but what's he use? What use is an archaic that doesn't have his power? Mom would just be better off without me. As he's midway through the ritual setup, as he's halfway through the ritual, the setup gets destroyed by a lightning strike. Then poofs Elopsi. Elopsi immediately says, "Stop that train of thought. You are needed. Don't kill yourself because you don't have your light. Give them hints. Give the humans hints. Try overall, be a good guy and guide to the new humans through your ability to interact with the terrain. Why do you care, Elopsi? Why are you even here? You aren't one of my mom's archaics." Well, sadly, I kind of am now. How? I imagine Jupiter needs you so it can be alone. We don't need to worry about that. But you matter, Gade, and you aren't alone. Okay, thank you. But seriously, why are you still here? I tried to return to Jupitris, but without me there, he kind of became more gassy. He farted so much you couldn't survive them? Yes. Fun fact, the reason we have lightning on Earth is due to Jupitris is creating a gas giant inside himself, practically ruining the survival chances of any species or any archaics. But this isn't all we have to talk about. You may know some of the events that have corresponded recently. Ravenge is still alive. Someone named Jack had just graduated from college. As he was revisiting his hometown of Olathe, Kansas, he had found a weird book page. He didn't know what it was, and the words were nothing he had ever seen. He kept the book page and got to a hotel that night. He couldn't go to his family because the year was 30, because his family had tragically passed away. So he got a hotel for the night. He had a weird dream from this being he recognized from a religion called the Archaic Civilization. He didn't believe in any religion. He he knew the psychology of these cults that somehow are still legal. But this one was different. There was nothing shady. Nothing seemed off about it. Then he had seen the archaic of light gate. Then Jack went to work on his life dream. A world of AI. Note this is not a jab at religion. I respect all religious uh, churches. I feel like they do great things. But in this world, corruption is common in religion. Jack had seen Jack had the archaic gate inside him. Gate said to Jack, "Wow, I never thought a human would pick up that paper seal." What was even the tactic of trapping yourself in paper for damn sake? To restore some light, to banish my brother. But all that light is in you now. What the hell does that even mean? You have the power to move things with your mind. So without moving my hand, I can move coffee cups? Not exactly. You can move things from far away with your hands. But you can give more momentum in your body movements. Or just straight up launch yourself. Oh, cool. Guess I don't have to worry about driving my car. Gate had also told Jack about the lost souls, and how he could use it to help make AI. Also striving away from Jack, we have a, a list of characters. There's Go read my first book. I'll have a link in the description, and you can get to know these characters once my friend fixes these grammatical errors. But it is in the process of so let me give you a tiny rundown. Skip past this part if you don't want any spoilers. Rick's tech could kill. Okay, so. Oh, wait, actually, never mind. There'll be a part where you will need to skip. But let's get back to Rick. So, Rick had gone down a dark path from this second chance. Arthera wanted him to make him a shadow hunter, which, if you're wondering, shadows are these lost souls. But he kind of became a crime kingpin, and in the years to come, in this new human civilization. But it all culminated in an event where Jack had seen Rick's work and wanted to help, or not help, make a partnership. He was captivated about this whole shadow hunting tech, even though Rick had done some kind of awful things. So, but but in this event, Gade had asked for both of their help, but to take down his brother, Ravage. So, in this fight, Ravage had died along with Gade. They had killed them. They had both killed each other in the process of fighting each other. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you about some of the details in my book. Uh, my first book. And this will involve some spoilers. I don't want you to get spoiled, so if you haven't read the first book or don't care, just skip past. But if you don't care or have read it just continue. So, Evan went to a bar. He had he had seen his lifelong friend, who he had thought was dead, but the two archaics had fused with each other, or had been revived by Rick to so Rick could inflict eternal torture. But they had both outsmarted him, and also, if you're wondering why they're teaming up, Gade is being taken advantage of, basically being enslaved by his brother. So, so Ravage tries to capture Evan and succeeds, but he couldn't kill Mason before Jack came along to stop Ravage, but Ravage got away. So now a bunch of them were on a quest. A bunch of new faces had been met at, and probably one of my favorite characters I have made in this whole series, Scorpo. He's practically the main character of the first book. But Rick dies in the effort to save Evan. But also Evan is Rick's, or no, not Rick. I mean, Evan is Scorpo's son. Oh, and also Evan, Evan and Mason are now married in his modern life. Speaking of his modern life, let's go to that in the second episode. That's right, this is where this first episode is ending.